Hey everyone, welcome to another installment in our series on the Bible, one book, one verse at a time. Today we're looking at Hosea. Now, Hosea is a really interesting book for a number of different reasons. So it's the first of the minor prophets, which is kind of the smaller books after the major prophets, which are the large prophets. Hosea was also one of the only ones to direct all of his intention and all of his prophecies towards the northern kingdom of Israel. Remember, the kingdoms were split into two after Solomon passed away. And you had the southern tribes of Judah, or the southern kingdom of Judah, and then the northern kingdom of Israel. The northern kingdom of Israel is the one that got sent into exile first through the king of Assyria, and then the southern tribes were taken into exile later through the king of Babylon. And it's during this decline of Israel and the rise of Assyria that Hosea writes this prophecy. And you see in his life not only a deep desire to follow and to help people to turn themselves back to God, but you also see in the way that he lives a little bit of a glimpse of the heart of God. One of the first things that we see that happens in this book is that Hosea goes and takes a prostitute, Gomer, to be his wife. And this relationship will turn out to be extremely rocky and volatile and hurtful for Hosea, because after he has her home as his wife, then she runs away and becomes connected to or embedded with another man, and then she has another child by this other man, and then Hosea goes and receives her and takes her back home, has to pay for her to get her back. I mean, there's so much pain, and there's betrayal, and there's adultery, and there's hardship in these relationships. I mean, it's so hard for us to understand all of the pain that he's going through, and in fact, actually, there's some of you that might actually understand what he's going through. And one of the amazing things that we see in Hosea is that God uses this relationship, this broken relationship between Hosea and Gomer, and how she continues to walk away from him and he continues to pursue her. That's the image that he uses to describe the way that he pursues his people Israel and ultimately us. This image that we as God's people are his bride, and that he loves us as a husband loves his wife and longs for us to be in relationship with him. This is an image that goes all the way back and is really clear here in Isaiah. It's not just about Jesus and the bride being the church, but it's about us as his people, as God's people, all people being his bride, loving us that much and wanting us all to come back to him. So the key verse, I think, is from Hosea chapter 2, verse 16. God promises that there will be a redemption of his people, even though there's going to be some punishment and some exile. He says, "In that day, declares the Lord, you will call me my husband. You will no longer call me my master." And then in verse 19, "I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you in righteousness and justice, in love and compassion. I will betroth you in faithfulness, and you will acknowledge the Lord." There's this amazing promise, and a promise that is given to us and extended all the way through the New Testament and is made true and right because of what Jesus has done. But this promise that we are and always will be God's people. So may you see the ways in which you may have turned away from God. May you apologize for those, repent, and turn back to him. And may you see the love that he gives you, just as Hosea loves Gomer, as a husband loves his bride.